Welcome back to another episode of Noah's Nonsense. I'm your host, Noah Bratz. Today's date is June 17th, 2021. For those who asked. Guest star, Mrs. Riester. Mrs. Riester, please tell us about yourself.
I am Mrs. Riester, and I have taught at Valders Middle School for 36 years, and I recently retired. I retired 2 weeks ago. I taught social studies for 30 years, grades 5 and 6, and before that I taught reading and math, and I loved every minute of it. My husband's a teacher. He's a math teacher, Mr. Riester, at Valders High School, and he will continue to teach for a few more years. And I am a big baseball fan. I guess that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We're glad to have you on the show. But the first question before we get too into it is, what socks are you currently wearing tonight?
Well, my socks are blue and white pinstripes, and they are Chicago Cub socks. And I chose those for two reasons. One, because I'm a Cub fan. And secondly, Mrs. Dank, our English teacher, her daughter gave me these socks for Christmas this year. Mrs. Dank's daughter, Nicole, was a student in my class. And I was so happy to open this up. 2 pair of Cub socks. I love them. So I had to wear them for this interview today.
Well, that is very kind of Nicole and the Dank family. That's awesome. Currently, I am wearing some Mario socks, all blue with a right stripe and some black characters on it. But thank you for that. Now, there's one thing that before we get to the more serious stuff is, if I got a haircut in middle school, what would you have told me?
I would have said, "No, you are so handsome." That was always my thing that I told the boys after they got a haircut, because they really were handsome with the haircut.
So that's it? You just one day started that, or like?
Yeah, I did. I just said, "Oh, you're so handsome." And then they kind of laugh. And then somebody else would come in with a haircut. And I'd say, "Oh, you're so handsome." And it kind of became my thing, which was kind of fun for a while. But it ended because some of the boys didn't want to come into the classroom when they got a haircut because they knew I was going to give them all this attention. So then when the school year ended, I think I did that for like 2, 3 years. Then when the school year ended, I told myself, "You're not going to do that next year," because I didn't want to make some of the kids feel uncomfortable with the attention. But they really were handsome. I mean, I could see them and they were so handsome. So that's how that started. And it was fun, but I had to put an end to it.
Oh, I remember. I remember when I was a little lad and I get a haircut. All the other people, we would tell you, like, they'd be outside, like, "Oh, Lucas got a haircut," all the time, stuff like that. I remember that. That was one of my best memories. It's just when it happened to you, though. Yeah, you definitely got embarrassed or like, please don't. But when it was other people, it was definitely one of the things I enjoyed. That was a lot of good memories in that class. I remember one time you gave Lucas and I names back in the day. That was like on the board. I don't know what they really were, but
Yes.
I remember we checked Eraser across the room, and you're so disappointed. I don't know if you recall this event.
Don't.
I even know what desk I was in. I was on the right side, 3 desks back. Lucas was about 2 or 3 across from me, and I don't know. I was a little mischievous back then, I guess.
No, you're very well behaved. I remember when you were in 5th grade and you were selling some magnets that you had made with plastic at the Jen's Java. And you had told me about them. It was probably the first week of school, or maybe even orientation. It could have been that early in the year. And I went to Jen's Java and bought one of your magnets. It was a tree.
Oh man,
And I
Christ!
still have that magnet, and I should have had it here with me, but I don't. But I still have that magnet. And I remember then I showed it to you and your mother, because it must have been open house then after that. And then you said something like, "See, Mom, I am a good kid. People like me." It was really cute. It was really adorable.
I don't recall this event. I do remember selling perler beads. That's what the you put a layer of beads down, melt them with an iron. I remember that as a child, but I don't remember orientation. But see, now I like these childhood stories. That's good. Now
Do you
the
remember
viewers
that I
know.
bought? Do you remember that I bought one of your magnets?
To be honest, no. But now that you mention it, I believe that. I definitely talked about it when I was younger. I vaguely remember some of that. But my memory
Yes.
is very fuzzy, so it's nothing personal, I guess. But I'm glad it's held up though. Otherwise, I'd have been disappointed in my craftsmanship.
Yes, it did hold up for sure.
Speaking of my mother, you had her as a student, correct?
Yes, I did. I remember her well. Good girl. Very good girl. Quiet, sweet, very good girl.
That's
Hmm.
that's good. Because I remember she was talking about. I had to make sure that wasn't Mr. and Mrs. Riester because I'd feel bad if I was in the wrong. So I had to clarify because she was talking about that a long time ago, how she had like photos, and I'm like I couldn't find any in the at my grandparents' house or anything like that. But if I did, I would have shown them. But yeah,
Oh
she's like,
gosh, I'm glad you didn't find them.
oh, why?
Well, because I probably looked not so great, but that's okay.
I mean, I don't know, maybe, but yeah, that's good to know. I'm glad my mother was a sweet child at one point, I guess.
And
But
I do like, Noah, now that you mentioned it, having children of former students in my class. That's truly one of the joys of teaching as long as I have in the same district. That was just a joy. And then seeing those former students as parents, it was just delightful, I think, for the student, the former student, and especially for me. And that really was one of the joys of teaching in Valders for as long as I had, is having children of former students. And usually the former student who is now the parent would come in and they would just light up. They'd be so excited that their child would have the same teacher as they did. And that was cool. It was really nice.
well, I'm glad. I'm glad my mother was good.
She was a good girl. She was a very good girl.
That's
And
good.
and if I'd ask her that, she'd say, "Oh yeah, I was a good kid." She
I'll
really
have,
was.
I'll have to ask her once we're done with the show. But
You should.
I guess there's one thing. We're from Wisconsin. For those unaware, we're the Brew Crew, Bucks, the Rogers. I mean the Green Bay Packers. And you're a Cubs fan, but you like the Bucks. Just if I'm not mistaken.
True. Well, I love the Bucks and the Packers a lot, and but I am a Cubs fan. But that's because my father, who was born in 1933, he's gone now, long gone. When he was a kid, like 8, 9 years old, he got really into baseball, and there was no team in Milwaukee at the time, so he needed a team to root for. So he decided the closest team to Manitowoc was Chicago, a baseball team. So he picked the Cubs over the White Sox. So he became a Cubs fan because it was the only major league team near here at the time. So again, he was born in 33, and this is like 1942. He's 9 years old, and he needs a team. Oh, and he was a diehard Cubs fan. And then, of course, then a Packer fan and a Bucks fan as well. The Bucks weren't around yet either, but when they came here. So then when he raised us to root for the Cubs, the Packers, and the Bucks, and that's what we do. So it really isn't a knock on Wisconsin. It's actually just the closest team when he was a youth, and then he stuck with them through thick and thin. Really, never saw him win the World Series, but I did, so that was cool. So when I tell people that story, they're usually very good about accepting me as a Cubs fan. So otherwise, yeah, but I'm a big Packer fan, love the Packers, live and die by the Packers. I will do nothing other than watch a Packer game. I wouldn't do homework during a Packer game. I wouldn't plan anything during a Packer game. It was always just the Packers. And the Bucks, well, they play tonight. This is being taped on a Thursday, and hopefully they win. And then they play again on Saturday if they win. So yes, I do like the Bucks too, very much.
Well, that's good. Didn't know that. I didn't know that. See, the more you know, it's a small world, right? That's cool.
Yeah. See,
I
now you don't mind I'm a Cubs fan anymore.
well, I don't really follow baseball or basketball or really football as much as you are a diehard fan. I'm sorry, I did not know the Bucks were playing. I don't follow basketball at all.
Oh, okay.
I love the Brewers, like the tailgating, but like I don't watch a game unless I'm, at the stadium. I went to a Rogers game once. That was pretty cool, but
A Rogers game? You call it a Rogers game?
to Rogers, yeah, Green Bay Packers, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's good. I didn't know you were so into sports. I always wonder that because like you talked about you. I remember this one clip Mr. Reeser showed us, and it was like you saying Giannis. I just remember
Oh,
that. I don't. I just. You want to explain about that? I guess. I mean, I thought it was funny at the time.
Sure, I will. Oh gosh. Well, we were at the state fair in Milwaukee, and I was wearing a Buck shirt, and they had just drafted Giannis. He was only 18, and I remember hearing about them drafting him, and obviously nobody knew he was going to be good. But I went through the itinerary for the state fair, and it said on this specific day, the first round draft pick for the Bucks is going to be at the state fair. I thought, oh, okay, I'll go. I like that. I like sports. I don't know who this is, but you never know, he might be a good player someday. So we stood in line of 3 people. I kid you not, 3 people. And I got my picture taken with Giannis. And anyway, people were saying, what are you standing in line for? Again, 3 people. Can you imagine that today? And I said, oh, it's the Bucks' #1 draft pick. You never know. He might be good someday. Nah, I don't care. So they missed out. So anyway, then I was walking through the where they have like the Merchants Building at the Wisconsin State Fair, and I was wearing my Buck shirt, and they said, hey, you like the Bucks? Yeah, I do. Could you just do a favor for us and try to pronounce the #1 draft pick's name? I said, sure. So they showed me his name first and last on like a plaque. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh gosh. So I said Gianaaas, because that's what I thought it was. And then on it to Pinocchio. I think it went something like that. And I thought I had nailed it. So after I said it, I went like, okay, I nailed that. Well, it was so horrendous that they put it on their reel or their video, and I was the first one on Can You Say His Name? It was me because it was so horrendous. I messed it up. But it's my claim to fame now, even though it's more infamous than famous. But Giannis has seen it, and he even said, somebody in that video said Pinocchio, which was me. And he said, that's funny because that means mosquito in Greece. So he remembered it. But yeah, so he doesn't know me, but he knows the person in the video, I guess.
Well, that's
just goofy.
Oh, sorry. But no,
just goofy fun.
Yeah, that is good. I will definitely try to pull up that clip if I can find it on the internet, or you can send it to me. I'm sure the fans would love to hear that mispronunciation. I struggle with names myself, so I cannot judge you for that. But that's really cool, I guess.
You just have to Google "say my name" Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it's the first thing there. It's very embarrassing, but oh well, it's kind of cool at the same time.
I mean, you're one of the first, and like he called you out, he didn't know you personally. I think that's an honor in itself. I would say personally.
Yeah, I think so. Now I do. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hi, Milwaukee. I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo. Can you say my name?
Gianaaas Antetokounmpo.
I think that's enough sports talk for those. We stay away from sports normally, but I mean, I guess we'll get to the real stuff. I was going to ask you if you could tell us some of your like teacher highlights over the 36 years, some memories, students, teachers, just life as a teacher, anything that you'd like to share.
Well, I absolutely loved teaching social studies and history. That was just wonderful. I really, truly felt I had the best teaching job in the whole district because teaching world history, the kids just ate it up. Ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt. It was just so wonderful. Stone Age. The kids loved it. Then when I started teaching 5th grade social studies, that your class was my first class that I taught 5th grade for. Your class, no, that's not true. Not your class, the current seniors, the ones that graduated was my first one. And then I got to teach the Native Americans, and I just love those Native Americans, how resourceful they were. So I loved the curriculum so much. And what I tried to do in the classroom is just make it interesting so the kids liked learning. It didn't happen to, I didn't mind what it was that caught their attention. I wanted them to just like learning. And one of the biggest compliments is when a former student, whether it's a 7th grader or a 12th grader or a former parent, would come in the room and say, oh, I miss this room. Or they'd come in my classroom and say, oh, I love this room. And that was the biggest compliment because then they felt comfortable and they enjoyed being in there. And I heard that from so many former students, and that was the biggest compliment I could have gotten. I also I've received so many nice letters from former students, and one was a former student named Grant, and Grant Van Leeshout, I'll just say his whole name, I don't think he'd mind. And he just sent me a nice card. And he is 40 years old now, and he and I had such a good relationship, and he'd come in to my classroom when he was in 7th, 8th, 9th, all the way through 12th grade, about once a week, and we would just talk. And to see that he reached out to me after my retirement was just such a delight. And he's a minister in Minocqua, Wisconsin. So, I mean, there's a lot of students that you just hold dear, and it's just quite a wonderful job, actually, because the kids are wonderful. And then they grow up and they become kids like you who do something so successful. And the pride that we have for kids like you, Noah, that are doing this. It's not a podcast, I know, it's a series, it's a YouTube series, I know that, but we just brim with pride when kids like you do these things, and we see that potential and how a student takes their strengths and uses them to benefit others. It is just quite a thrill. And I know this is something that I would like you to see you do in the future, you know, as a career, because you've got such a nice camera presence. You've got a beautiful smile. You have a nice voice. You're interested in your subjects, because I watched a few of the videos. I'd like to see this take off for you, Noah.
Thank you. I do try my best. I'm glad you mentioned that. I always wondered, like, teachers of like how many students, you know, like come back and say hi like that. That's good to know. Thank you for all those compliments. I do like this. Actually, it is technically a podcast, but I didn't want to correct you.
Oh, good. It is a podcast. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. YouTube is my main platform, I'd say, but thank you for that as well. Thank you for all those nice things. I'm glad, Grant. I'm not even gonna try to enunciate that last name, but that's really nice of him. I hope he watches my videos. Then he'll feel special. You have to send him a link, right?
You got a shout out. Yeah, I will. I really will.
Thank you. But that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I can talk a little bit about my experience with 6th grade. Like you said, with the Romans and Greeks, I love that. I'm still interested. I like the Egyptians, but like Greeks and Romans, like even after your class, I would like, not in my free time, but like whenever we'd like talk about the Romans or Greek gods, or like I read the Percy Jackson series and whatnot, like all that. I'm still fascinated, not as much as I used to, but it's nice to see those things. You know, like looking forward, you just like in school, you just think it's like one and done, but like seeing it back, even if it wasn't like curriculum related, you know, it's kind of nice, I think, as a teacher too, to see some of those interests you sparked, I guess.
Yeah, now that you say that about the Percy Jackson series, you know, when I started teaching world history, Egypt was the star. Everybody just loved Egypt. And the other chapters paled in comparison to the students. And until the Percy Jackson series was written. Holy cow, did Greece take off. And now Greece is actually more popular with the students than Egypt because of, I think, the Percy Jackson series and the gods and the goddesses. And what a series that author, Rick Riordan, I think his name is, did to motivate all these kids to love to learn about Greece. I'm sure he realizes that, but boy, oh boy. So that's a treat. Teaching Greece now is so easy because of that that series.
I enjoyed the books. I remember when I was a wee lad, middle school, Battle of the Books. Like every year, I remember doing it. There was always like Percy Jackson. It was normally the first one, but like that was like, I love those series. They're great books. If you ever get bored, I'd recommend reading the Percy Jackson series. It's a good read. But I remember Battle of the Books. Who's the lightning thief? All sorts of those questions. That was fun. I don't know. Is there any other thing you would like to discuss about like teaching, like your daily life, like your plans for retirement, any of those types of things, I guess?
Well, my plans for retirement are pretty simple, actually. I'll read a lot. I did read the first Percy Jackson book, and I want to read that again. and then read more. But I'll do a lot of reading, and I'll exercise and stay healthy, I hope. I would like to sub at Valders grades 5 through 12 and stay within the district, because that's why leaving wasn't so hard, because I knew I'd be back in the school setting. So that's kind of what retirement will do for me. I will travel a little bit. I'm not as big of a traveler as some. I like to go to baseball games all over the country and see other ballparks. That's a big interest to me. I'll go to Colorado this year with Mr. Riesterer and his family and our 2 sons. So that'll be exciting too. But otherwise, I just plan on enjoying not having a schedule and not having to do lesson plans. I would labor over those to try to make things interesting for the kids. So it'd be nice not to labor over those for a while. But like I said, teaching was a joy. It was a delight. I loved every minute of it. And when I'm up in front of the classroom, that's when I'm my most true, authentic self, Noah. And that's what I want for you. I want you to find a career that shows your true, authentic self. Then you know you found it. And that's how I am in the classroom. It's my most true, authentic self. The kids are wonderful. They're so kind and forgiving. Sometimes they can be sassy, but usually that doesn't last. You know, they rein it in. And sometimes they just test to see, well, is she going to let me get away with this or not? And they like it when they can't get away with it. Seriously, they do. They think they don't, but they do. But it is just such a joy to teach, and I'm going to miss that, but I won't really miss it because I'll be back in other teachers' classrooms, getting to watch kids grow up and help out other teachers and see the administration and Honey, our comfort dog. I would miss her too much. So I'm excited to be able to see her too. But that's what I want for you, Noah, and all the students, to find a job or a career that you can be your true, authentic self, that you just absolutely love. And for you, I think it is with broadcast journalism, not writing, broadcast. That's what you're doing now. You're doing broadcast journalism right now, and you're so good at it, and you're so comfortable with it. And I'd like to see that continue. Like this student of mine, Grant, who sent me this. He was so faith-filled, and he went into that as a career. He just sent me his card. Oh. But anyway, but yeah, you know, he was so faith-filled, and he went into faith for a career, and it's so fitting for him. And I love to see that for kids, to do what really makes them happy, and where they can be their most true, authentic self. It's kind of what we want for you guys. Oh. So.
Yeah, I'm a senior now, for those unaware.
I know.
And you just see like 50 doors closed, and yet you can peek in, open, close some. This is a metaphor, by the way, or analogy.
I love this. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah. And I open a knob and I turn it. I look, close it. I open a door, walk in, walk out. And I don't know where I'm going yet. There's so many options. I see things. I don't. I close doors. I open. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure in life.
Well, and you're only a senior. You know, you're only 17, or if you have turned, you're probably 17 at this point. But you got it. You got it going on, and I see that in you, and that's a delight. I tell you, it's just a delight. But yeah, those doors. I'm glad you're looking at them. At least, you know, you're exploring options, and you play to your strengths, Noah. And I some students don't do that, and that's disheartening. And you play to your strengths, and you're gonna do well in life. I know you are. See, we know these things. We've seen it.
Well, thank you.
Seriously. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Do you actually know any students like that have done something like not famous, but like something really impressive? Like, can you think of any? I'm just wondering That's
a good question. There's a lot of students that are very wealthy now, and I'm friends with on Facebook, and I'm like, holy cow, look at their house. And they'll have a couple of properties, and so they're wealthy. I don't know if they're famous, but there's quite a few that have made it in life. And those students, when they were at Valders, were hard workers and involved in a lot of activities that they were able to balance so many things. And then they went on into college and continued that and then into their career. So I wouldn't say famous. I can't really think of anybody that's famous. I suppose once we were done, I'll think of somebody and I'll think, shoot, I should have mentioned so-and-so. But like I said, some that are incredibly wealthy, some of them are vets, veterinarians and went into the science field and so on. And I'm so proud of them as they, continue to work hard out of high school too, which is important, obviously. So, but it's a good question. I can't really think of anybody that's famous though. I don't know. I'll have to ponder that one.
Well, yeah, let me know. I was just more curious. That was more one of my personal questions. I don't know. I mean, back to like I'm a machinist at WST Fab, and
really,
yeah,
I didn't know this.
I did tell you that. I did mention this last time I visited you, but that's
okay.
That's okay.
Oh,
it's fine.
shoot. Okay.
That's fine. That was a purposeful visit, so I was more business oriented. But I mean, I love my machining. I get paid pretty well for what I do, but it's like 10 years, and like I'm done with it. Like I couldn't do this my whole life like some people. Like you taught 37 years. Like that's like majority of your workforce time, and like I can imagine being in a factory or being an engineer, machinist, whatever I would do it if I stayed in this current field. I just couldn't imagine. But you had that passion, and like I love my job, but like I don't think it's like the truest thing I want to do, and I don't know.
It's not your true authentic self then. It's a good job though, and you recognize that. So, and I like how you're making good money, and that's so important too. But if it isn't your true authentic self, it doesn't bring you joy, then you keep looking. And so the fact that you're 17 and already a machinist shows how hardworking you are, because I know people who are machinists, and that is not easy work at all. And you have to really think, while you're on the job, and you got to pay attention. So, and that's good experience for you. But yeah, like you said, you might do it for a few years and then, look for something that brings you joy. Like this.
This
like
just...
something.
Oh, sorry.
Interviewing or working for a television station.
Yeah, I like to do that. That'd be fun. Like I also am a man of like experiences. Like I might do something because I totally don't want to. Like if one of my buddies are like, "Oh, you want to come to work?" Or actually, let's use better. Like say one of my friends, like she works at a vet or something. It's like, "Oh, want to come in, like see it one day?" And I'm like, "Not really, but sure, just to see the opportunity, learn from it." Like I'd never be veterinarian. I can never do that, but for those who can, good kudos, I guess. But I mean, like I always took the opportunities and like the experience and always explored those doors. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure.
I'm still lost.
Oh no, not at all. You're really not. You're more found than you think. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to comment on that, but I think that's it. Unless you have I have one more question, but if there's anything you'd like to mention, I guess, or share with us, teaching, life, anything will do.
I'll just say that I think this bag kind of says it all. I don't know if you can see it. It says this bag contains absolutely no papers to grade or lessons to plan. That's what my life's going to be. Retired teacher life.
Well, that's good. Glad you're using bags, not plastic. That kills the
There you
environment
go.
and my soul. Yeah, that makes me sad.
There
So I'm
you
glad
go.
you got the reusable cloth. It was a very respectable bag for those that
Yes,
couldn't
it
see
is.
it. But
Mhm.
that's a very nice bag. But I guess the final
Thank you.
question before we go is there like any advice in life, kids, anything? Like I always like to hear someone's advice.
Just work hard and use your strengths. There's too many students that I have that don't try hard, and they have been born with these strengths and they're unwilling to use them. And that breaks my heart. because there's so much potential that they aren't tapping into. And I wish I had the magic potion to make those students just work to their strengths and do the homework to the best of their ability. So advice is, it's so simple, and I know we hear it all the time. It's just to work hard in whatever task you're asked to do and do it happily. And life is so much easier that way. And good things will come to those people that do that. It'll be a much easier road ahead. That would be my advice.
Well, that is some good advice. I want everyone to ponder that after the ending of this episode. I will definitely listen to those wise words. I think I do that. I think I need to work on my weaknesses, work on those, fix some of that. Say some flaws, but I think I played to my strengths.
You do that. You do that. Yes, you do. You do definitely work hard. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. But I'd like to thank Mrs. Riesterer for being on the show. It's been an honor. It's been a good time. I've had a lot of hype from some Valor's students and alumni. Caden James, I'm going to shout him out. He seemed very excited for the episode. So I'm glad you have others in the Valor's area. And hopefully this makes it worldwide someday. So that'd be
there you go. When you become famous, I'll be so proud. I'll say I was there at the beginning.
You will. You're like the eighth guest star now, but you're still special in my eyes. So it's been an honor. And,
you're a dear.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to say, tell Mr. Riesterer I says hi, and I will see you sometime. Bump into you at the local Walmart or whatnot. Maybe I'll come over, get a drink, some root beer on the porch you have, and the nice doors and whatnot. And I don't know if you have a patio, but your porch is very nice. Okay.
We do.
But someday.
Yeah, someday. You're always welcome.
Thank you. And
take care, Noah.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.